Hello everyone, it's Model Farmer 6710. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the most highly anticipated video in quite some time. It's been 3 years since I've done a video like this, which is where I've been showing you the new model farm, which has just been constructed and has taken me 7 months since November 2024. So this is a very special moment, a very special video in which I'll be showing you the model farm, which is the start or the introduction to the new series. And I'll be showing you the characters, the machinery layout, the storyline, the layout of the farm, and the whole ongoings of this new model farm series. There's a lot to show to you guys. Took me quite a while to build, mainly because last time I built the previous model farm, I built it when I was in school and I had a lot more time, whereas 3 years on I'm now in work and I kind of don't have just as much time as I like to. But look, I got it done, guys, and also at the time I kind of wanted to pack in a lot more detail. So without further ado, stay tuned, grab the popcorn. Starting our way in to the first farm. It is a dairy farm, so it is, and won't be the biggest of dairy farms, as you can see, but it's a very nice and nice sized dairy farm as well. Now it's a bit small, bit run down at the same time. It wouldn't be classed as a modern dairy farm by any means. But I'd like to say this is PJ's brother's farm, which in the last few months has fallen fairly ill, I'm afraid, and he's sick. So he couldn't really go out and manage the farm by himself, which is therefore why PJ is now in management of the farm for the time that he's sick. PJ's brother is called Derek, and PJ, or Derek, would be the older brother of PJ. So there's just a bit of backstory behind this farm. And back years ago they used to do a lot of plant hire and digger work back in the 80s and 90s, which is why they have a digger and dump trailer, and there's another dump trailer off down the other field. So that's kind of how all the machinery has been influenced in PJ's farm and all his diggers and stuff. So I suppose starting off, there's a good few acres now. There's about 200 acres or so, and they're milking about 40 cows. So they're not going too bad now, in fairness. But I'd say there's room for more cows. So this is the cottage, the home place, and kicking off with the first tractor, we have a Deutz D13006, which has been on the farm since new and got a light restoration a good few years ago, probably about 15 years ago, and it's fairly workhorse on the farm, so it is. Done a good few jobs. But in the few recent years they bought this New Holland 8560, which has kind of took over a bit of the pressure from the Deutz D13006, and New Holland is a bit more comfort now. Does a lot of the mowing and the slurry tanker jobs and dump trailer when needed. So back throughout the years they ran a lot of Deutz tractors because of the Deutz dealership down the road, which we'll get to in a minute. But they just seen this up for sale down the road there, a second-hand tractor. It was a trade-in and they do the tractor well, so they said it was a good choice to buy it. And touch wood, it's gave them not really much bother. I think they got the head gasket done a few months ago, that was about it. There's also a fresh enough major tanker in the shed, just parked up in between the slats. A nice 2,600 gallon, which they bought a few years ago. I think they got $1,000 for it. So that's probably the newest piece of equipment on the farm at the moment. And Yeah, Derek, he tried to keep everything as clean as he could. Coming into the Dutch barn shed, as you can see, I'm able to take off the roof and see in. So we have a nice few things going on. We have the straw stacked up, a bit of last year's straw, which has a bit more than we should. Just the calving pens, a few cows in calve, and one left to calve and two were just after calving there in the last few days. And then one of the farm loaders, the JCB Loadout 526, and that's been on the farm since new as well. This is actually PJ's loader, which he's brought back from his farm, and he's going to put it on the farm for work. So this is actually on this farm from new, so it has a light bar and beacons and stuff added. So that's a fierce reliable machine around the yard, and fierce handy machine to have as well. Loads the fertiliser, stacks the bales, levels out a bit of yard and feeds the cows. So that's a very important piece of machinery, and a very classic machine as well, and it's in reasonable enough condition. It could do with a bit of a wash or a respray, but I believe it's all mechanically good. We have an old John Deere baler, conventional baler, which I don't think it's been out working for many years now. It's fairly wedged in the back of the shed there now, but who knows with PJ, he's a bit of a mechanic, so he could get it going. And we have a few bits of meal and fertiliser there as well, and Dave Williams cattle box. Moving over into the backyard, we have this very nice JCB 820 excavator, which, as I said there at the start of the video, PJ and Derek did do a bit of plant hire together back in the years, and they had this JCB 820 and a few other diggers as well, but this is the digger they kept for the farm, and kind of just kept it on, and it's handy for, you know, digging around places and leveling out the yard and a few entrances and stuff. So now it hasn't been moved in quite a while. It's been sitting on the top of this bank for quite some time. They were shifting topsoil, and they kind of stopped. And this Herb's dump trailer gets hired out the odd time to a few neighbours and stuff like that. And coming into summertime at the moment, there's a few silage bales left, but the pit is fairly empty, so that'll be filled again soon enough with the first cut to come on soon, which we'll get to see in the next few weeks, I hope. And I don't know what this is back though in the back of the hedge now. If anyone knows what this tractor is, please comment down below. But it looks to be fairly there quite some time now, so I don't know what tractor it is. So if any enthusiasts there, please let me know in comments below what tractor that is. So that's PJ's farm and Derek's farm. So there's also a Ford 6410 in the hedge here, which really has seen better days, and looks like it's got a part stolen off it there. I think it was a 4-wheel drive 6410, and they stripped the front axle off it. So there's a bit of a story off about that now. I'll have to ask PJ about it, but at the moment I don't know much about it. But it seems to be blocking a gap in the hedge here for this field, unfortunately. But yeah, this is one of the grazing paddocks for the cows, and so being this one as well. Coming beside the town, which is right beside PJ and Derek's, there's always a good buzz around the town here, so there is, with the local church and then the pub and the chipper. Always seems to be busy, and it's a nice buzz, so there is. So a nice social attraction for everyone. All the country people come in, have a chat and chat to each other. Here we have one of the local contractors coming through here with a Fendt 820 and a Crone silage wagon. going on to the next job. He has the traffic cone on the front there. I think he'll put it there at the road when he's pulling out to let cars know that he's coming. So fairly busy now. We have a good few cars up on show. Amarok, a Citroen DS19, fairly well polished. A Mark 6 GTI Golf. Colin McRae has stopped in too. Ford Escort Mark 1 and a Fiat 500. It does be fairly busy at times. So in the field here we have I think it's a rented out, I think. Farmer has a few of his cattle on it and a few horses as well, a few race horses. They're grazing away. I think it belongs to some stud. They have a stud farm. So they're all happy as Larry grazing away in the sun. Moving on in to nice farm machinery. This is the dealership which I've been on about that Derek and PJ purchased off throughout the years, and they still do. This is predominantly a Deutz dealership, along with Kuhn, Fleming and Hardy as well, and Stroutman. So a nice lineup of machinery in this yard. So I suppose in the second hand corner, starting off, we have a Ford 7840, David Brown 1490 and a Ford 7810, all in the for sale section up along the front of the road. And a few other little bits and pieces, buckets, Fleming double bale handler, Kuhn spreader, a Kuhn disc with a APV box on it, and then a few agitators, a second hand one and a brand new Red Rock agitator too. Keeping in with the SDF brand, we have Sammy Galaxy 170, which is for sale. A very rare tractor in this condition. And then moving on, we have an Agrotron 135 Deutz, and then a Deutz 6190. And then we have the two brand new ones, the 150.4 RV shift, and then a 7250 TTV, which are both for sale. All tractors here are for sale, so they are. So and then we have the good service van, the Deutz Far service van, providing all the service to all the farmers around the area. And then inside here we have a good bit of action going on. We have the sales office, and we have the trade counter there, computer and the cashier and everything. And then in the workshop we have a good few repairs coming on to all types of tractors. We have a Sammy here. He has the back wheel off it there. Keith is working away at it, and then there's a Kubota buggy in there as well, in for a service. And there's a PTO shaft there. I think someone has to do a yoke end on it. Moving on into the back of the yard, which is a few things in for repair and a few other things for sale. We have a range of Kuhn mowers, disc mowers, and then we have a trade-in of a Caverlin mower. Also a trade-in there of a class disco mower, and then a used Stroutman wagon in at the back. There's a 590 in for a head gasket, and then there's a 3140 in for a few other things. There's a clutch to go into her, and also kingpins and a seal on the front axle too. Then there's a brand new 6-saw reversible plough, which is just has a bit of work to do there, a bit of assembling to do before it heads out to its new owner. And there's a used prone rake out the back, a brand new Kuhn hedge cutter, a used 3.5 ton Massey silage trailer, a Kuhn bale wrapper, a Vredo Cedar, which is owned by Campy Turf Car, and then there's a trade-in of a Lemken 3-furrow reversible plough as well. So it'll be fairly busy fairly busy spot, and it's greatly appreciated by all the farmers around the area, as able to get bits and pieces, and if they get broken down or anything, they're able to come in. So that's a nice attraction. And I said I do a dealership, as I never done one in quite a while, and I want to do a proper dealership, and very happy with how it came out. It's actually based on the same dealership as where I work in real life, so I try putting it as close as I can to reality. So that's the story behind that. Moving on to Derek and PJ's land out the road here, which there's a bit of an out farm, and this is kind of their silage ground, so it is. So this is where they do all the silage bales and all. So there's about 40-acre block around here, and so there's a bit of an out yard type of thing here as well. So they sometimes store bales, depends how big of a cut they do. This is the other dump trailer I was talking about, which has seen a lot of work back in the years throughout the plant hire. There's also a land leveler, a roller, and a coon trail mower, which I think the bed has gone on it now. The bed has been gone on it quite a few years, and they've got the contractor in to do all the mowing and everything. They used to do the mowing themselves, but bed went, and a few other things went in as well. I think the gearbox is leaking oil and stuff, so they said they'd park it up and get the contractors in. So as I was saying, PJ is a bit of a mechanic, so he might take that job on himself and get it going, maybe, perhaps. So yeah, nice bit of tillage land up here, which is owned by the tillage farmer, and also does a bit of contracting too. So we'll get to his yard in a minute there later on. We'll get up to things with him. A lovely Class Jaguar 900 coming down the road here. Farmer's just after collecting it from the local dealer. He's after trading in his old Class Jaguar 860, and he's after upgrading to a Class Jaguar 900. So he's ready for first cut. Moving on in to Finnbar's farm. Would you look who it is? And we're after finding him yet again. He was in the last series and he got an absolute fortune for land, and he's after coming back to his old roots. Old habits die hard, and that is true. He's after buying a lovely farm out here up in the mountains, very similar to where he would have been. He would have had a mountain farm as well, and he's after going back to his old roots now. He has a bit of a mountain here, bit of a nicer farm, more of a yard and a nicer operation, but it hasn't really seemed to be splashing out the cash on brand new tractors or machinery or anything. I do see he's after treating himself to a nice Land Rover 90 Defender, and a nice 390T, which is in fairly nice condition. So yeah, fairly coincidental we're after running back into Finnbar for this series, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will be great to hear from him. And he's still sticking with the sheep, all the lambing pens there, an ABC tank, bit of fertilizer there, bits of hay, a ton bag full of sticks, and he has a very nice Dave Round 996 as well, which is on a PZ drum mower, and a fairly nice slatted shed, which looks fairly new, looks like it's just after been built. So yeah, just can't get over we're after meeting into Finnbar again, and a lot of you guys, I'd say, are in shock as well. So yeah, very nice farm, and I don't think he has too much land. Well, he'd have about 150 acres, but a lot of it would be up on the mountain, so it wouldn't be all the best of land, if you know what I mean. A lot of it would be all under rushes and everything, so as you can see in the background there, Holland Mountains. But still, there's a nice bit of ground here, so there is in front of us. He has all the sheep out and the cattle grazing away. I never really thought he would have been much of a cattleman, but I suppose he kind of is now, since he's after building a slatted unit, and there's a few nice Charlies there and a Frisian. So that's fairly coincidental now, and nice to see Finnbar is keeping well, and he has a nice little operation as well, so he does. If you haven't watched the previous series, or if you're new, Finnbar had a sheep farm and he got offered millions because his land was on a mountain and had lots of gravel and rock in it. A local quarry bought the land off him in order to expand their quarry. So Finnbar took the money, and it seems that he's after buying a farm up the country, which is where we are now. So that's a bit of a backstory to that. Moving on, guys. We're getting on very well, coming in onto the main road. We have a lovely Fendt 724 going down the road with a Mikhail Fusion 3. This is more tillage land either side of the road, owned by the tillage farmer, which we're going to be soon looking at in a second here. A lovely Blue Power T7210 going down the road there. I'd say going to bale a bit of first cut with a Mikhail 5500 baler. And a bit of Stonewall country here at the minute. And then there's a nice Case Puma 240 going down the road as well. Coming into Johnny and Niles farm. So here is the tillage farmer and agri-contractor, which I've been talking about for the last few minutes. So Johnny and Niall are the two men in operation, Johnny being the father and Niall being the son. So there's a nice operation going on here now, so there is. Johnny has been the farmer for quite a while, and he's always had a nice bit of tillage gear and done a bit of tillage and stuff, and he always done a small bit of silage contracting. And in the past recent years, Niall has wanted to expand the contracting side of things, so this is kind of a bit of inspiration into things growing along. So a lot of things moving on with silage harvesters and gear expanding and modernising it a bit. So when you have the younger generations coming up along, they're a bit more keen to push things along. So it's nice to see that, seeing the younger generation come along. Now there's a lot of machinery to go through in this yard, but a lot of mainly tillage. So Johnny was all his life, but as I said, in recent years, after turning to a bit of silage as well, and a bit of everything really. So yeah, I suppose starting over at the entrance, main entrance here, we have the portaloo for all the drivers coming out, and the container, which was going to be a site office but now just holds the sprays and a few tools and storage. This shed here, which is built there back in 2010, which is the big grain store. All the grain is actually sold off at the minute, but they have a lot of machinery in here at the minute. The big Simba cultivator, Cambridge rolls, Porsche 6 meter 1 pass or the direct drill, and then Red Rock silage trailer there too. So a lot of straw for sale as well, which only a small bit left. Would have had a lot more than this now back earlier in the year, but It's getting scarce now, so I'll say that won't be long. That won't be staying too long. So there's one of the machinery sheds anyway. Breed all lime spreader and fertilizer spreader, and then beside that as well we have an Amazon fertilizer spreader. So 2 fert spreaders there in the lean-to side of the shed. Another bit of tillage ground there out at the back of the shed as well, which goes around the yard, so it does. Moving into one of Johnny and Niles' pride of the fleet. Out of 4 tractors. They're not really they're not desired to one brand either. They're kind of spread out across all brands of tractors. So John Deere 7810 being the first one of the fleet, which this has been done up throughout the years now and has been kept spotless, I must say. This tractor do a lot of the work really, all things really throughout the year. It pull the mower, it pull the silage harvester, do everything really. So that's the story behind that. TM190, and it's no ordinary TM190 either. TM190 Blue Power, which this would be Niles' rig. Johnny would have bought this tractor brand new, and Niall decided he wanted to respray a Blue Power. I think he's seen videos or he's watching too much YouTube and kind of been inspired to respray the TM. I don't know what Johnny thinks about it now, but it doesn't look good all the same. Other people would say different, but that do a lot of the baling and bigger, heavier work, as it's a bit of a heavier tractor, and it do the cultivating on the big Finnbar disc as well, as that requires a lot of horsepower. And beside that, in the stable, we have an 8250 Massey Ferguson as well, which, as you can see, is hooked up on the plough. And I was doing a bit of ploughing for a bit of whole crop, so it was. And that does a lot of ploughing. And in behind the shed there, we have a 6-rotor Coon hay turner. So we have New Holland, Massey, John Deere, and moving on to our 4th tractor, we have the Class Arian 640, which does a lot of the hedge cutting, as you can see, and does a lot of hedge cutting for the council too, and do a good bit of hedge cutting in fairness, which is why the hedge cutter is still on at this time of the year. It could be getting ready for silage there soon, but there's quite a good few hours on that tractor, so there is, and it's proved to be quite reliable as well. So yeah, they do like the Class, and that tractor do a lot of fertilising and a bit of the slurry spreading too. And beside that, while we're in this corner of the yard, we have the JCB TM310S, which will do a lot of the buck raking and loading up of the grain and the straw bales up onto the lorry, and stacking bales in the field, everything really. It'll be busy all year round, muck spreading, everything. So that JCB is never really idling much. This is kind of the trailer park corner of the yard. Every yard really has a corner like this. I suppose starting over, we have an old Belmac muck spreader, which hasn't been used in quite a while, same as this 4-saw Lemkin plough, and a cultivator. And then we have the Abbey muck spreader, side spreader, which is buried in the back, and the Herb stone cart for the drainage. Beside that now is the Iveco Stralis, which is another pride of the fleet now. I know it looks a bit miserable parked in the corner there, but it does be on the road. It is legal, so that does be on the bulk trailer a lot of the time, drawing the corn, and does do a good bit of logistics with it as well. I do believe draws meal and stuff. So they do try have a driver for the lorry the whole time. If not, Johnny does drive it. We have the second silage trailer, which being, I think it's a homemade silage trailer, which was made years and years ago, so it is. And beside that is the grain trailer, the Red Rock grain trailer. There is a new silage trailer on the way, so I believe, but we won't say any more about that. We'll keep that one quiet. Speaking of trailers, more trailers down here. This trailer has actually been added to the fleet there last year. Brahman bale trailer, double axle for drawing all the straw. They had an old, before that they had an old bale trailer on a truck body and just with a welded drawbar, so it wasn't that good on the road. But Brahman is a different world. It's so much more better and different. And then we have the good old trusty low loader there, double axle low loader. And then the Komatsu PC130, which they do a bit of higher work, so they would, and bits of digger work for themselves too. So there's not much these guys don't do really. So yeah, so that there has the bucket there on the low loader. I suppose they do a bit of drainage and reseeding and stuff like that with the stone cart and the digger. So not really much gear here that's brand new either, so a lot of room to upgrade. So there is Abbey 2,000 gallon tanker, which they are thinking of trading in for a new tanker. They don't know what yet, but they're thinking of something double axle with a trailing shoe. This is the third machinery shed and the last machinery shed around roof here. So suppose moving in, there's a double rotor class rake, the Verlin Tara trail mower, which does all the mowing, and McHale wrapper, New Holland 8060, 8070, which does all the combining. That is Johnny's pride and joy as well, which he tries to keep that as clean as he can. So that does be hibernating there all throughout the winter and in the spring. And it won't be long now till it's brought out too, so once Johnny's in the combine, he's in his happy place. Coming into the workshop, which is where all the ideas are spawned. So, we have the JF in here, which does some bit of silage anyway, and won't be long till that's out either. We'll be doing a bit of picking up there, a bit of first cut and second cut, but it is seeing better days. It's starting to show its age there the last few years. After spending a good bit of money on it there over the winter there, so hopefully it'll go right this year. And they'd say they're going to look into getting a self-propel there in the next year or so, if not for this season, but they'll say no more. Niles kind of giving the hint to Johnny there, to hint him on to buy a harvester. And then we have an old 6700 Ford in the corner of the shed here, which another tractor that Johnny's father would have had from new, so that's holds a bit of sentimental value, that tractor does. And it's just one of them projects that they've just been meaning to get done and do it up, but just never have. But at least it's undercover anyway, it's not out in the nettles unlike some people. Like PJ and Derek. But yeah, that's will be a nice project when done. I'd like to add as well, there's a few little attachments, TR for elephant trunk, McHale soft hands, bale spike, a few weights there as well. And this is the, I suppose, the Jeep of the farm, the Mitsubishi Pajero and the Chief and Fuel Bowser. Not often do you see them not unattached. Usually you always see the Bowser on the Jeep going around filling up everything. So yeah, that's a fairly busy yard now, guys. Johnny and Niles yard, and they do a lot of the contracting around the area as well. They won't be massive contractors now, but as I was saying, they're kind of wanting to get bigger. Mainly so Niall. Yeah, moving on, guys, into the forest. There's not really much of an ownership of who this forest is, but we have a County 1174 here, which does be pulling in a few logs and making a bit of a stockpile. Not often you see a county on a log or a skidder anymore. They're usually all retired or in a showroom or parked outside in the hedge, but you don't see many of them in the working environment much anymore at all. There's also an abandoned JCB 3C. Now, I don't know who this guy is, but we may find out more about him later in the series as the series goes on. But he seems like a pretty cool guy, but I don't know where this road goes up to now. It could go anywhere, but JCB 3C parked in the shed. I don't know, parked under a tree. I don't know what story is with that. I don't know if it's running or anything, but little beautiful little Yamaha blaster here, so there is. Very brave man who ever left that there. If that was me now, I'd have it brought for a run. Brought for a run up the forest, around scrambling around the forest. And then going down the road here with a bit of heavy plant on the move here. We have a Scania R730 with a triple axle low loader, moving a digger there to a building site, moving a digger into Dublin there. So Hitachi's Axis 210 there on the low loader. So that is it, guys. That is the model farm, and I suppose the kicking off of the new series. Very excited, guys, to start this series, and I hope you guys like the start of the storyline. Hope you guys like the layout of the farm, and I hope you guys like the machinery setup, as a lot of you guys will like that. Who has this tractor and all, but I do hope I have included a lot of you guys opinions or suggestions throughout the building series. I've done 10 or 11 episodes, and I hope I have included everyone's suggestions. Now, it was hard to include everyone because there's only so much space to do as much as I can. Like, I know I've left out pigs, and I think someone said a petrol station and things like that, but I can't really include everything, as I need to have room for fields and so on. But I do feel in the last model farm, in the last series, I did leave out a lot of livestock. It was more just about tractors, machinery, silage harvesters, everything. So I kind of wanted to include a bit more livestock side of things, which is why I included the milking parlour. So, and same goes for over here at Finnbar's farm with the beef and sheep. So also with the lambing pens and so on. So hope you guys are happy with the farm. I'm so glad it's finished, and we'll be on to the start of the model farm episode 1 next Sunday. So thanks everyone who was supporting me and watched the videos, as none of this would be possible without you. And really appreciate you guys. And if you haven't do so, please like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you again in the next video. Bye for now. Comment down below what you think.